Hey y'all. I just realized I'm not centered, which kind of bothers me. Yeah, there we go. How y'all doing? If you guys can hear me and hear me well, please give me a thumbs up emoji. I like to do my sound check every live to make sure that you guys can hear me, especially since I got this new equipment. It was working properly yesterday, but I just want to be sure. But yes, if you are tapped into the live and you can hear me, please give me that thumbs up emoji. You know what I'm saying? I see there's a couple of y'all trickling in here. I'm just gonna get right into it. For those of you who may not have been able to see the thumbnail, you know, uh, okay, good. I see the thumbs up emojis. Thank you guys for being a part of the vibe, for being in the live. Yeah, for those of you who may not be able to see the thumbnail, that's tuned in. We have a lot going on this week in the news cycle, is what I noticed. And I put WTF is going on, and in the thumbnail there's a picture of Diddy and Cassie, uh Meg the Stallion and Tory Lanez, and Halle Bailey and DDG, right? Now, me personally, I don't like speaking on other people's lives, what's going on with them because I'm not there. You feel me? I'm not in person to see what's going on with them in person. And so speaking about current events has always kind of rubbed me the wrong way because even though I feel like things need to be addressed, there's a lot of information that I don't know, and there's a lot of things that I can't really speak on. You know what I'm saying? So the moderators, hey, thank you guys for being into the live. Before I get started, good for the people that may be new coming in. My name is Erica LeShai. I just be on here sharing my thoughts and opinions, and speaking on different topics because a lot of you guys be asking me my perspectives, and building a community because, like I said, I see a lot of the same people are in the lives a lot of the time. And, we're able to foster some sort of camaraderie as a result, which I'm very, very grateful for. But yes, in regards to what's going on right now, those three, I won't even say couples, but people, groups of people that we saw, it's been in the news lately. And I can't speak on who's right or wrong in any situation. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be a person that play neutral. I just didn't see. I wasn't there when the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion thing went down. I was not there in the flesh. I wasn't there in the flesh to see what's going on behind closed doors with Halle Bailey and DDG either. And although I was not present in the flesh with Diddy and Cassie, I did see some video footage that I consider extremely disturbing. And that alone is enough for me to formulate my opinion and perspective. It might not be enough for some of you guys that are on the live. But for me personally, when a woman is trying to leave from your presence and is so quick to leave that she runs out of the hotel room without even putting her shoes on. And she's putting her shoes on as she's waiting for the elevator, and you come out the room in your towel and sling her to the ground and kick her a few times. That tells me everything that I need to know about, the situation. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a little crazy. But anyway, regardless, you guys, other people may have their perspectives and opinions about who's right and who's wrong, and I'm not here to sway your perspective or opinion, but I do think that we need to consider the timing of everything that is going on. And in every situation and everything that we see that's happening in the media or in music or in the news cycles or whatever, we have to utilize understanding and always protect our mind and the way that we think. Let me see. Top dog, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, "Stay black and beautiful." I most definitely will. I appreciate that, and I appreciate everybody that's in the live. But what I wanted to make mention of is around 2020, right? I started talking and making videos in 2018, but before then, speaking publicly was not something I was foreign to. I would speak in many different arenas. You know what I'm saying? I was a part of like a group that would go into the juvenile detention centers and speak to the youth. When I was younger, I mean, I'm still young, but you know what I mean? When I was younger than I am now. So speaking publicly has not been something that that I've been foreign to. It's something that I've done for quite some time. And then also growing up speaking in churches, ministering and all that kind of stuff during the 930 seminar, ministering the word on occasions when I had to speak. So getting up talking is not a difficult thing for me. However, an explosion of people getting up talking happened in 2020. We know that everybody was at home because the world has shut down. It was the pandemic and all that. And even though I started making videos and posting them and speaking my opinions online like in 2018, a lot more people started doing it in 2020. They bought podcast equipment, they bought all sorts of stuff so they could be on there talking, 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 right? And with the explosion of people talking, I don't even know what be wrong with some of these people that being alive. But anyway, let me not read them comments. Let me not read crazy comments. But regardless, in the midst of a bunch of people talking, like, yeah, you guys are gonna like when you guys be saying stupid comments and stuff like that, it just emboldens me to speak more candidly because I be trying to be nice to spare people's feelings, and not to have people feeling some type of way. But I'm gonna get into it because I don't have a lot of time and I just want to hit it real quick because this particular topic is something that's bothering me and I be trying to hold space for the men specifically. I be trying to because when I first started talking and making videos, I made videos under the guise of like speaking up for black men because you guys had gotten a lot of flack for, people's calling y'all ain't, SHIT, the stereotypes, all the negative things that we see about black men and black women alike, right? And so I started making videos because I knew there were people like my father that exist, people like my brothers, people that men that I've dated in the past, people like my boyfriend currently now that are some solid people. But the men that started talking in 2020 started this whole red pill manosphere thing. And I know a lot of you guys that may be in the live may associate with that. You might consider yourself red pill or manosphere or alpha or whatever the case may be. But that's the kind of stuff that started a lot of the nonsense. Not started, but helps perpetuate a lot of the nonsense within our communities, right? We hear all of this, and now there's an even bigger rift between black men and black women. There's a gender war explosion that happens. And as a result, black men and black women are at each other's necks. And here I am screaming from the rooftops as loud as I can that black men and black women suffer from a shared traumatic experience that neither of us are responsible for. I've been saying that for years now. We suffer from a shared traumatic experience, something terrible that happened to us that neither of us are responsible for in this country. But we continue to blame each other, fight with each other, while the people that made it this way get off scot free and get to benefit from our pain, our hurt, and the destruction of our communities and all sorts of stuff, right? And so I've been saying this for the longest. But we have this manosphere thing that happens. And I'm not saying every brother that was a part of the manosphere or every brother with a mic was on some nonsense, but it was a lot of nonsense and it spread a lot of division within our communities. And what I was happy about this year is that a lot of people were leaving the gender war rhetoric in the past. There was a lot of nonsense that was talked about in 2022, 2023, stupid hypothetical situations. If I'm coming home in the middle of the night, I want my wife to get up and cook me a full four-course dinner in the middle of the night. Like, would she do it? And the women are responding, well, I wouldn't do it because I'm sleepy and I no man is worth that. And then the men are responding, that's why y'all ain't gonna never had no man because y'all don't want to get up and cook. And we don't even consider the ideology behind said questions. Who's gonna do that to somebody that they care about? If I'm a considerate person, you know what I'm saying? I have brothers that are married because I talked to my brother about this. And he was like, that stupid question floating around social media. And then I asked him, I said, Jared, would you ever ask Nicole to do something like that? Have you ever came home late from work and woke up your wife and told her to ask you to cook you something? He was like, no. And I'm like, why wouldn't you do that? Because you're considerate, maybe. Because you wouldn't do such an inconsiderate thing to someone that you care about. So the point I'm making is this. We had all that rhetoric, right? And I feel like we had started to leave the stupid hypotheticals in the past. We had realized that all of this stuff was engagement bait. And I know it's like, why are we talking about this? This is not on topic with the live. It definitely is on topic. So stay with me. We had left some of that in the past. That all that engagement bait, hypothetical questions, it was only a little piece of it lingering into 2025, right? And so recently, Sinners comes out, right? Sinners comes out, and the black community as a whole is rallying behind black men. Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, these are black men. You feel me? Annie, Well, I don't know her actual name. I probably should figure that out. I just know her character's name on the movie. But she, rallying behind black people. And we are spending money to go see this movie, black men and black women alike. And the rhetoric around it is the vampire stuff has to be invited in. Let's stop inviting people to the cookout. Soon as that happens, all of this happens in the news cycle, right? And so this is where the point of the live, where I'm going with this, regardless of who you think is right or wrong, because I'm not expecting people to have concrete opinions on Halle Bailey and DDG. Personally, I don't really care. Their life, I hope they can figure it out as young people co-parenting, but I don't really have anything to say about what they got going on in their personal life because I'm not in the mix with them. I wasn't there with the whole Tory Lanez, Megan Thee Stallion thing, so I really can't even comment on that either. You know what I'm saying? But this whole Diddy and Cassie thing, I can't, look, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I think that he's a terrible person. You kicked a woman in a hotel room several times and dragged her. You feel me? So look, but that's my opinion. Even going to that level with it is not something I care to do because that doesn't affect my life personally. But I want us to understand how it seems like every time we start to get away from dysfunctional behaviors as a community, there is something that happens that sets us back and gives us enough content to continue these gender war debates for the next 10 years. We're going to be talking about this, like all the things, all this happens this week. You feel me? This week we have all of this happen. And I'm not saying it's a conspiracy that the government conspired to have these three groups of black people at each other's necks to cause division within our community. I'm not saying that that's what happened. All I'm saying is that when things like this happen, we have to acknowledge it because everywhere you see, Bootsy had recently come out and said that Cassie is wrong and she's doing a money grab and it's her and her husband that's trying to steal Diddy's money or whatever. Even though this is a federal case against Diddy, it's not Diddy versus Cassie. It's like the government versus Diddy. But anyway, even though that's the case, there's going to be so much rhetoric. And you know what happens when we see that kind of stuff? When black women see that kind of stuff? Oh, I see message retracted. What is going on? Okay, well, whatever. I'm gonna keep talking and then I'm gonna look at the comments because I don't know what type of time y'all. I know a lot of the men that follow me on YouTube specifically probably resonate with the manosphere vibes, the red pill rhetoric, and all that kind of stuff. And not trying to rub y'all the wrong way, but I just gotta call it like I see it. You feel me? I gotta call it like I see it. And not to say that black women are flawless and we haven't been flawed in the way that we move through things sometimes. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is all of this, us at each other's necks, has to stop. And when we see like black men defending abusers, like we've literally seen this man beating on this woman, it makes black women feel like the little piece of, well, maybe we can build something together as a community. That starts to get a little foggy, you know what I'm saying? And vice versa with black men. If y'all see black women standing behind, let's say, Halle Bailey, and you feel like she's just the bitter baby mama that's trying to take the man's son away. Now y'all get this whole idea of, oh, black women will do whatever they can to control men and stop men from seeing their children and all that other kind of stuff. The rhetoric that I've seen online over the past couple of weeks over all of this stuff that's been going on has been kind of crazy. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm here to debate what perspective you think is right, even though hopefully I hope we can all agree that dragging a woman and kicking her multiple times is not an okay thing to do. I hope we can agree on that. I hope that could at least be the basis of where we agree. But even if you don't, I would hope that you would. But even if you don't, the point of this is what is going on with our minds and how we're viewing the opposite sex to have all of this going on and so much arguing over the weekend, over this past week, so much arguing between black men and black women about these things when it seemed like we had started to get away from the gender war rhetoric. And that's what bothers me. You know what I'm saying? And the men who do feel like it's wrong to beat on a woman, a lot of times they're not the ones who are online being loud. The women who do think that men need to be able to have access to their children if they're good fathers and they want to be present in their life. The women who think that, a lot of times they're not arguing online with people. They're with their families. The people that have sense a lot of the times aren't online arguing with strangers. So it skews our perspective. We see whatever opposing view that rubs us the wrong way, and we just begin to think that that's how everybody thinks. We get fully immersed in our echo chamber, and it makes it harder for us to come together even a little bit, even remotely as a community. So that's what I'm talking about. Let me see what some of these comments are saying. I hope y'all can feel what I'm saying. If you don't, then oh well, because honestly, the advocating for certain I won't say I'm not trying to advocate for black men, but I toned it down some after 2023. After all that stuff happened and niggas was having rooms and spaces about me on Twitter, calling me an op to the black community, calling me all sorts of B words and all that, all out my name because they felt like I didn't speak up enough about reparations, even though I'm never against reparations. You know what I'm saying? But regardless, it was a lot of stuff that went on. And I felt like I had emboldened the wrong kind of men. You feel me? There are men that are good, and good men are necessary. Good men are 100% necessary in our societies. Like we need them. We need y'all. Good men. You feel me? But at the same time, men that, think that women are just here to be personal maids and cooks and nannies and prostitutes to them. I don't really I was never talking to them kind of brothers. The type of brothers that'll take my videos and send them to women and tell them, you need to be more like this woman because y'all black women messed up. I wasn't talking to them type of brothers. And it's crazy because I felt like I shot myself in the foot, man. And I know a lot of y'all gonna call me a chameleon and all sorts of stuff and whatever. I didn't changed up. I finally pivoted or switched or whatever. I never pivoted. I'm just clarifying who I was talking to. You feel me? Because I love black men. I really do. I've been surrounded by black men my whole life. But we got to get it together as a people. We cannot continue to allow outside forces and things that we see in the media to warp our perspectives of the opposite sex. We can't do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad I didn't allow that to happen to me. But I got good people around me, so it's hard. But it happens to a lot of people, a lot of men and women alike. A lot of black men might not have solid black women around them, and they jaded against black women as a result. And the reverse is true in regards to black women. And it's crazy because we keep getting deeper and deeper, more and more nestled into the echo chamber. And the more things that you interact with online, the more of that content that feeds you a steady stream of nonsense, the more that you even look at it. You ain't even got to comment on it, but the more you look at it for a few seconds, you like it, you might share it, comment on it, your algorithm gets flooded with that. So you literally build a nice, cozy, comfortable, impermeable echo chamber for yourself that is damn near impossible to escape. And that's what I want to prevent. In the time of all of this happening with all these cases, I would hope that the black community can come out of this without starting a brand new gender war. Okay. Let me look at some of these comments. Um, all right, let me see. Aunt Fresh said, Erica, it's my job to keep you on track with the topic. Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, team moderators, I appreciate y'all. You feel me? Yeah. People can have different opinions in the lives, but I just don't want nobody in here saying a bunch of disrespectful stuff. But it's okay. Let me look at what some of these comments are saying. First 100 or whatever said, is Cynthia G now responsible for all of this? Honestly, I don't know who that is. You feel me? I hear that name a lot, but I've never went to look up who that person was. But it doesn't really matter to me. Jelani says post-traumatic prisoner of war syndrome. Yeah, man. It's a lot going on with our communities. Inglewood Edition says Cynthia G is part of the problem. Men and women who grabbed microphones and podcast equipment just to start ish for social media checks. Now, like I said, I don't know. I've heard her name before, but I don't know who that is. You feel me? I don't know who Cynthia G is. So I wouldn't be able to tell you. But I do agree with that second half. Men and women who grabbed microphones and podcast equipment just to start is for social media checks. That's a major problem because we are easily influenced, you know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of people like to pretend like we're not. You feel me? We're so strong-minded, we're so strong, we can't be influenced by things. Yes, you can. Is a reason why these advertising companies spend millions of dollars to show you their products for only 15 seconds. That's know that they know that's all they need. They only need 15, 30 seconds to penetrate your brain and make you think that you need their product. They'll spend millions of dollars just to show it to you for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because it works. It works. So we can't begin to think that we're not influenced by listening to this rhetoric of this person talking and telling their bad experiences. Even when I was heartbroken, you guys, it's been several times where I went through hell. Like 2022 was personally a very hard year for me because of the man I was dealing with. It was a terrible thing. And I could have easily started spewing a bunch of bitter rhetoric and swayed a lot of people to think in a way that is problematic and not productive for their emotional and mental well-being. But I didn't do that. I said, let me keep my hurt to myself because this one man is not a representation of all men. You feel me? And even though he's tried to destroy my life, all men aren't like that. But other people, they might not even have that type of experience, but they will just grab a mic or whatever because they know these things are monetized. They can say whatever outrageous thing if they go viral. The video will get a lot of attention. They'll get money. They might get brand deals or sponsorships or whatever. But the need to like be wealthy and by any means, like that's you have to have more love for your community instead of deciding to sell out for the sake of a check. So you're definitely right, Inglewood edition. Let me see. Antoine Hemisphere said this cat said, well, I don't know who's this cat, but he said it's like we've been socially engineered to be incompatible. Statement made me think, you know, um, yeah, I mean, socially engineered, yes. I do think so. There's been a lot going on in a lot of outside hands within our community that have made it easy for us to for it to be a rift between us, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like everything that we see, whether it's relationships, because we pattern ourselves after that. I was in a Twitter space once. This was before I deleted my Twitter. I deleted my Twitter in 2023 and then I got it back, not to be on Twitter, but just because I didn't want nobody to have my handle. But anyway, because I don't be on Twitter like that. I have a Twitter account, but I'll never post. But I deleted my Twitter. But before then, I was in a space where there was so many women, they were so angry at black men because of all this red pill rhetoric going on and all the stuff that men was saying about women don't do didn't whatever. And then women were saying they little snide comments and remarks too about how, they was calling black men bullet bags and all sorts of crazy stuff. The height of it was definitely it seemed like 2023. And a girl in the live was talking about, they asked her like, what have been your personal instances where black men have been, raggedy to you? And she brought up a Tyler Perry movie. I kid you not. Brought up a Tyler Perry movie where Mike made Sheila, that movie, Why Did I Get Married? Mike made Sheila drive all the way to the cabin or whatever, and he took the plane, and then he brought his mistress with him, you feel me, and was flaunting the mistress right in front of, Sheila's face or whatever. And it's like you're bringing up movies, and see, this is the point I'm making. As crazy as it sounds, like we're influenced by all of that, by the media, by the movies that we see, by these court cases and all this kind of stuff. We would be very silly to think that we're not influenced by these things. Now, how my light just gonna turn off? Oh, my battery dead. Ain't that about nothing? We'll see if it, whatever. It's fine. But anyway, yeah, we're definitely influenced by these things. Let me look at some of the rest of the comments because I've already been talking for 24 minutes, and I really didn't want to talk about this for a long time. I didn't want to talk about this at all, but I feel like, yeah, see, I knew it was gonna flip back off. I feel like it's pertinent to say that as a community, we really have to be mindful of like what we see and hear. There's a scripture that says, "Be careful of what you allow into your ear gates and your eye gates, because it can sway your perspective." And after we had spent so much time and effort coming out of gender war nonsense, we right back in it. You look at the comments in the shade room and it's black men against black women. Who's right? Who's wrong? Black men are advocating for abusers, and black women are advocating for controlling women, keeping their children away from the father and all this other kind of stuff. It's just like it's very crazy, and I don't want us to fall victim to that again. I would like us to not get back into that wave of being at each other's necks when it seemed like we had just started to maybe creep a little bit out of it. Everybody started to understand that people with podcasts in their rooms was just people with podcasts in their rooms, and they don't have no authority to be telling other people what to do with their lives, you know. But anyway, let me read the rest of it. Blaze McCroy said, "Peace and blessings, Erica, and everyone in the house. Hope everything is going smooth. Yeah, I don't align with any of that manosphere red pill content. It's straight nonsense to me." Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not saying like I've never been deep immersed into the manosphere or red pill because clearly I'm not a man. So I'm not going to say that it's just terrible. But I know there was some rhetoric coming from those spaces that I disagreed with, you know, but I can't speak on what y'all put together for y'all. It might have been some good in there, you know, so I'm not going to pretend like it's just all bad. But I know there has been a lot. There's been a lot of nonsense I've seen from that side in addition to a lot of nonsense I've seen from the stuff we as women have said and perpetuated. So I try to be fair and balanced in my assessment of things as much as I can. You know, let me continue on and see what the rest of these comments saying. Jelani said, Wumni Mosaku is the actress that portrays Annie. Okay, thank you so much for that. Yes, I did want to get her name correct. Thank you for putting that in the chat. Low Commotion said it's definitely by design, whether it's organic or inorganic. Yeah, I honestly feel like, you know, like I can't say that all of this is orchestrated, you know, but I just feel like we got to protect our minds and protect what we seeing right now. You know, protect our eyes so that we don't fall victim to getting back into this nonsense that it excuse me, it took us a minute for us to crawl out of this. TZ Frank has said Diddy is guilty of domestic violence, not sexual assault. Look, I can't say what you feel me. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, that's why all of this has to play out in court. You feel me? But what I do believe is that that man is more crooked than a barrel of snakes. That's my personal belief of the matter. Because I don't think it's cool to just be beating on a woman like that. You know, a woman that's trying to leave you, you know, like it's crazy. And I know what that feels like, you guys. That's why like I feel like I have some sympathy there because I know what it feels like to leave a man's place in a hurry because you're afraid. And I feel like until you know what that feels like, you can't speak on why somebody stayed as long as they did or why didn't they leave early or whatever. Sometimes you've been afraid and you didn't know what was going to happen, especially this man know where you live and all this other kind of stuff. He know how to get in contact with you. And mind you, like, it wasn't no millionaire, billionaire man that I was dealing with. It was a regular blue collar worker. You know what I'm saying? And I still had to get up out of there. You feel me? Called a Uber while he wasn't looking and ran out the house without saying a word. So until you like know what that feels like, until you know what it feels like to go on a date with a man, it's your second date with him, but then he did some weird stuff during the date that made you say, "Yeah, this the last date." But now y'all in the car together and he driving you home and he's rubbing on your thigh and caressing your hand and you have to hold his hand back and pretend like you like it because you're in his car and you just want to make it back home. So yeah, just think about it from a different perspective. That's all I'm saying. Dr. Steele, thank you so much for the super chat. He said, nowadays you see these co-ed panels having conversations about the gender war. Some panels were healthy and some were toxic. I definitely agree. I agree. It's good sometimes to talk with intelligent people, but if you're bitter and jaded and have like a bone to pick with the opposite sex, you need to go sit down and heal before you start talking to people and spewing your opinions and your perspectives onto people. You know what I'm saying? During that time of 2022, when I was messed up, I wasn't posting a lot. It was a lot going on with me, and I didn't want to come from a bitter and jaded place. I slowed down on the posting. You know what I'm saying? And in 2023, I still wasn't all the way together. I slowed down on it. I said, you know what? I need to get myself together. It's a lot that happened to me this last year. It's probably the worst year of my life. I need to reel some stuff in and focus on getting me back right. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, Let me go down and see. There's a lot of comments. Damn, I've been trying to read them slow. Let me skim through some of them real quick. Joshua J said, "Not gonna lie, the gender wars are exhausting and low frequency conversations. They are. We really have to get past that. And this is what my fear is for what's going on right now is that I'm already seeing it. It's been so much, women see a few men in the comments defending Diddy, and it's now black men are abusers. Like, oh, can we please not go there? Or men see some women in the comments defending Halle Bailey, Cassie, DDG, whatever, defending the women, right? And it's like, oh, these women, all they want to do is take from men and all this. And it's like, can we not use absolutes and generalizations? Please. Can we not? Let's please get up out. Let's get out of the nonsense. You feel me? Um, Adam Burns says, I have to go, but have a great stream. I watched the replay. I appreciate you for being on the stream at all. I thank you guys. KTMT said, we need you, sis. Thank you. I appreciate you. And you always here moderating. Bless you. Really. I don't even remember when I picked you to be a moderator, but I was definitely in my bag when I did so because you're phenomenal. Let me see. Blaze McCory says, I'm an advocate for black men and black women to come together and see the value in each other. It's been enough of the division tactics. Yes. Okay, you guys are putting me at ease because when I came to talk about this topic, I didn't know how it was going to be received, honestly. But I felt like I needed to say this. I would like for us to protect ourselves so that we don't fall victim to the nonsense. You know. Let me read the rest of what this is saying. Brian Fagan says you can't say the right thing to the wrong person and you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Accelerate the process by going harder. Yeah, no, I feel you. Let me see. Inglewood Edition says social media has become a gift and a curse because the intentions of the internet was nice, but now you have people who can pretend to be whatever they want and they jump on starting stuff for checks. Yes, man. Like when we started monetizing, I feel like there should be, I don't know. I don't know exactly. Well, I can't say how it should be regulated, but people literally get online and say whatever in order to go viral and it works. You know what I'm saying? Cuz people are more prone to negativity. It's called negativity bias. The more crazy and raggedy something is, the more people are going to be drawn to it, unfortunately. And a lot of people know that and they will continue to do and post raggedy stuff. And it's crazy. All right. Let me see. Cornelius Thomas said, brothers and sisters, keep your traumatic experience off the internet, off these internet streets. Do the actual shadow work healing. Yes. Yes. Not to say that you got to repress what you're going through, but please do not, if you are wounded and bleeding, try to patch up your wound. Don't go and bleed on other people. You know what I'm saying? Try, at least try to get yourself together and understand that like it might not be a quick and easy process because I feel like I'm just now starting to get back right from the stuff that transpired in 2022. You know what I'm saying? It took a minute for me to be okay. And I had to step back for some time. And I said I wasn't talking no more. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah, let me read what the rest is saying. Okay, yeah, I see you guys talking about yeah, like I said, I don't know who Cynthia G is, and I've never engaged in the content, so you know, somebody said bullet bags is wild. Bullet bags is insane and it's crazy. It really is, man. It was a lot of nonsense. I'm telling you, 2022 and 2023 was very rough for like people was online saying all sorts of crazy things. And it's like, how could you call, you know, I don't know. It was crazy though. Let me see. Blue Exodus says, "Don't read the comments outside of your channel if you can." Yeah, I don't. Like I stopped reading them. And like a lot of people be like, "Oh, you trying to be bougie or you think you're better than other people." But it's really a mental health thing. I can't be reading all these comments. You know what I'm saying? Like I've decided even on Threads and Twitter, I'm not even going to respond to posts that aren't mine. Like if someone posted something and I want to leave a comment, I have to tell myself, "Don't you say nothing. That ain't your post, not your problem." You know what I'm saying? If I wanna have something to say, I'll post about it, and I'll respond to the people on my post. You feel me? But I'm not just about to be talking to random people because it's just like it's crazy out here. Um, Wildwood said, "Unfortunately, you preaching to the choir." Yeah. Well, the crazy thing is that hopefully some people will look at this and, I don't know, see it. You know, GKB757 said high value versus low value, red pill, blue pill, overconsumption. Yeah, man. It's just it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, I see some other comments in here. Pandering a business says this is similar to feminism and every other movement. It goes extreme real quickly. Sad. Yeah, that's true, man. It's like stuff start out with good intentions and then it go left hella fast. I understood like when the whole red pill manosphere thing started, I was like, okay, well, black men are good. They're having a voice to speak on how they feel, and then it got crazy. And then, the same thing with a lot of the stuff that happens, like a lot of these movements that start out for the betterment of the people, feminism included. Well, I don't even know if I won't even say that that started out for the betterment of us because of his origins with what there's a lot within that. You feel me? Because I've never really called myself a feminist. Well, I won't say never really. I've never called myself a feminist, but I do believe in black womanhood. But as far as feminism, what I'm saying, like it just keeps happening. You feel me? Like the civil rights movement is going on and then feminism branches off and diverts attention from it. You feel me? And then, Black Lives Matter is going on and then Me Too stems off and diverts attention from it. Even though Me Too was started by a black woman, you know, um, you guys see what happened with that and where we are now as a result. You feel me? But anyway, yeah, I'm not even gonna get deep into that. Um, Let me see. Michael Freeman said, "That's sad. You can't make someone love you." Yeah, you can't. Um, KTMT, thank you so much for the super chat. You said keep doing what I'm supposed you're doing. We appreciate you. Sometimes it's just good to hear a good word from a positive black sister. Thank you. I really appreciate you and I appreciate the super chat. Um Drastic Nazarene said take your time and go on the first date too soon. I think you mean don't go on the first date too soon, but yeah, I feel you. I ain't been on a first date in a while, you know what I'm saying? Haven't had to, but I've been on several uncountable dates at this point, you know what I'm saying? And I'm happy. That's a place I'm happy in, you know? So, yes. Frontier Concepts says we're all being manipulated and played. Yeah, man. So that's all I want to come on here and say. Is just keep your mind together. You feel me? I've been talking for 38 minutes. And like I said, I didn't come on here to try to sway anybody's opinion on who's right and who's wrong. All I'm saying is like, don't let this what's going on in the news and the media cycle have you online arguing and debating back and forth with people. Don't let this have these gender wars start back up. And if you see that type of nonsense, please don't engage with it because we don't need this as a community. Hopefully, when all of these cases are over and done with, we can get back to an understanding because we were talking about sinners and it's like black men and black women alike were rallying behind this phenomenal movie and nobody was trying to pull up scandal about Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan and nothing like that, which is normally what happens when black men try to do something. Somebody pulls a scandal out of nowhere and tries to thwart the whole thing, right? We were seeing a lot of positivity, but it's just, you know, yes. Let's try to immerse ourselves in positive, beneficial things as the week progresses on. That's all I wanted to say. That's all I want to pop on here and tell you guys real quick. I'll tap back in with you next Sunday, you know what I'm saying? And we'll be going live about something more lighthearted because I don't be wanting to talk about this kind of stuff. I would love to just sit up and talk about Avatar, The Last Airbender, and why it's such a phenomenal show, and why I don't like Legend of Korra. Or I'd love to talk about Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, you know what I'm saying? And why that's one of my favorite animes of all time. I'd like to have conversations about that or conversations about music, why Sarah Vaughan has the most velvety, buttery, warmest voice I've ever heard. You know what I'm saying? Like these are the type of conversations I'd like to have, but we're going to get to those very, very soon and I won't be having to talk about this kind of stuff. You feel me? But yeah, that's all I have to say. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Have a beautiful Sunday. I'll tap back in with y'all next week. Bye. Love y'all.